All right, what's good, family? I want to introduce y'all to a concept that may be new to a lot of you, but it's actually a return to a very old concept that we've been away from for too long. That's the indigenous mind state. What I'm going to say and what I'm going to show you, it may resonate with a lot of you, but you may not have the language to speak to it yourself. It may not resonate with you. But that's why I'm doing it in this format, so I can't be interrupted with noise. This is going to be straight music, and I recommend that you listen to this video a bunch of times because you have to become truthful about what you recognize and what you don't. I only speak to the whole of what it is. There will be aspects of it you don't recognize just yet, but the alchemy required to arrive at being able to see that which I'm describing is on you only. When we come out of the womb, we are pretty much in this mentality that I'm about to describe. The indigenous mind state, the magnetic mind state. True spirituality is magnetism. Everything is, the universe runs on magnetism. Okay? But when we go to school, we get our sense of time and space hijacked by schooling. And as we act out these programs from the school, we do so at the expense of our connection to the natural order. The most basic way I could describe it is, all things natural are in harmony with all things natural. Magnetic harmony. All things unnatural are static and are repelled by magnetic order. See, noise is repelled by music. Wetness repels dryness. Your body heals itself by repelling things that slow down its flow. And all flow is not linear. It's actually a vortex. Let me show you how a vortex works. You see, as you magnetize yourself to the universe, it doesn't matter where everybody else is. What it matters is where you at. Because all things that come into your orbit either have to correct themselves to you, to your righteousness, or they have to be repelled by it. You see, truth loves being pushed. Loves being challenged. Falsehood, which is static, hopes that its challenge never comes. See? All you have to do is create your own vortex. All things physical are nothing more than a reflection of all things mental, spiritual, magnetic, whatever you want to call it. See? The static way is to just focus on what something is called. But the magnetic thing is to know what it is and what creates it. Because when you know how something is created, then you know why it still stands today. And if you don't want it to stand anymore, then all you have to do is disconnect it from its root. You see? You see, when vortexes come together, they form a whirlpool. Okay? Black hole, whatever you want to call it. You see this all over the place. But that's magnetism in a nutshell. Okay? But we're given a static modality to come at everything from. A disconnected, static way of thinking on everything. And magnetism repels all things static. So why are we wasting our time with it? Static time is on a clock and calendar. Real time is magnetic time, which transcends time and clock and calendar. You see? Because not everyone's brain, not everyone's mind operates at the same frequency. Some of us understand magnetic time, even though we may not have the language to describe it to ourselves, and we live in that time. And as your understanding deepens, the ability to move space increases. So you could say this is all space. Let's look at this again. It all starts by you taking your time. Okay? See? And then as you take your time, you're going to encourage others to take their time, creating small little vortexes, right? And what happens is this flow is unimpeded, and it gets larger and larger and larger, and then boom, your time becomes immeasurable, and your ability to move space becomes immeasurable. You see, when I was trying to learn the Vietnamese language, I went to the bookstore. I got static books. Why the book static? Because there's no rhythm in them. There's no harmony in them. It's just words on the page. But that's how we were taught. Camera recordings, okay? So now I'm repeating. That's another static way of thinking. All things magnetic are connected to true zero. If that connection is broken at any time, it becomes static. So magnetism is whole only. Truth is whole only. And it's always acted on itself. So if you were to act with it, you either act with it or you're blocking its ability to act on itself. All things true are self-reflective. All things static are projective. People throw them at you. So this is why the emotional realm is used. Because those who cannot connect to real time, they attempt to create contracts with those who can. Because if you, the less magnetic your mind is, then the more precise your physical actions are forced to be. You see? And the less magnetism you have in your mind, the more static you're thinking, the more physical, the more precise you are forced to be in your physical actions. But the more magnetic you are, the more you will see the whole from creation to expression before even acting. And then your thinking will control your actions with liquid precision. See, static means stopped. Magnetic is always turning on itself. So it knows itself better than anyone observing it. It knows its way better than anyone observing it. And it only connects to those that recognize it. And it's only possible to recognize it by being it yourself. Because nothing magnetic, nothing true ever embraces imitation. So it has to be correct first. Now, I'm using the English language, but I'm not using English as it's prescribed because what I'm speaking to is a reflection of what it is. I don't speak unless I'm describing. I don't explain. I don't offer opinion. I don't speak hypotheticals. And the reason I don't is because I know that all things that leave me come back to me. Because this universe is a magnetic order, whether people acknowledge it or not. Doesn't matter if you acknowledge it. It is what it is. So all things leaving you come back to you. And so if I'm precise on what leaves me, then what comes back to me will always be precise too. This is a universe that acts on zero balance, man, zero. And when you're deceiving, you're hoping to dodge what comes back to you, but you won't be able to. So it's best that you use your senses to measure time and space for yourself. This goes against everything you were taught, I know. But it's time to use your eyes, nose, mouth, ears, skin, sense of feel, everything. And I know in some people they don't have the ability to use all of them in harmony with each other. So when they're using one sense with predominance, the other senses are suppressed. But in some of us, we know how to heighten all of them. And that's what you need to do. Measure time and space for yourself, and you will always be in a place to create from it. Those who can't connect in the time and space, in any genuine way, they're forced to remix, rehash, recycle, copy, imitate, and that's a very destructive process. It doesn't renew. Everything that you still dies on you, because things can only live by being connected to the source that created them. And creation is mental before it's ever physical. So when it comes to language, I used to wonder, when I was memorizing certain phrases from these books, how's the weather? I never talk about the weather. Not in my life, I don't. I go out and look for myself. I don't care what's interesting. The only thing that interests me is truth. So having mindless conversations about nothing, I ain't never interested in that. But then I realized that, wait a minute, how did I learn English? I asked myself that question. How did I learn to use English like this? All I did was listen. I never studied English. Never. Even in school, I already knew the stuff they were trying to teach, so-called teaching. So I knew that anything that was taught outside of myself was a lie. I didn't learn English like that. I really learned English by simply going silent and listening. That's how I learn English. My speech is a reflection of all things my senses pick up in my silence. When I started to read, I read with my mouth closed, and I read with only my mind. And that ability started to expand. So I think and process information at a rate many, many times higher than my ability to speak or write. So this lets me know that speech is actually a lower form of thinking, and if you tether your thinking to your speech, you're actually slowing down or stopping your own spiritual, mental, magnetic development. This is why the ancestors always said, silence. We always preach silence. The reason we preach silence is because silence creates the space for your thinking to magnify on itself. So the Vietnamese language taught me a lot of things too, because it's a language where tones matter. Tones and rhythm matter a lot. English, not so much. European language, period, not so much, because they tend to remove the tonality and rhythm from the language and focus on text, which is static. Other languages concentrate on sound and sound, tones and rhythms, and not so much on text. Text is a reflection of sound, and syntax and grammar don't really matter that much. Now, when studying from the Western point of view, grammar is everything, but grammar is the rhythm and frequency of the language decontextualized. So when I was studying these grammar rules, I noticed that native speakers really didn't care about them. So what do you do when the people whose language you're trying to learn through studying rules that you wrote up regarding their culture, what do you do when they decide to break the rules? How can you enforce that? So another problem I had was when I was using a textbook Vietnamese was simply the people were very honest emotionally. They were not being nice, right? Yeah, so they were not being nice. Now, what do I do when they're not being nice? I just stand right in there and take it. Watch some of this and I'll talk to you about it.
Nieve con café, ¿verdad? Dile que yo quisiera dos veces de la vainilla. Con tapioca. Con tapioca. ¿Cómo? De vainilla 2 veces.
Va a salir muy dulce. Va a salir muy dulce.
Sí.
¿Está bien?
Sí, está bien. Con buen tapioca. Tôi có muốn tapioca.
Tôi không muốn chanh châu.
Chanh châu.
Tôi không muốn chanh châu.
Tôi học nói tiếng Việt 6 tháng.
Tôi học nói tiếng Việt 6 tháng.
6 tháng.
Thôi đi chơi vậy. Tiếng Anh không hay. Tôi học nói tiếng Việt, em nghe là tôi không nói tiếng Việt. Sao hay cho chị là anh sorry, 4 con ba. Bon con baba.
See, in this phase here, they were struggling to understand, but they were playing along. Well, that's surface level chit-chattery. I didn't want that. I wanted that deep resonance, right? So then fast forward another 2 years, which is right now. All right. We nói là anh mới lên trước đi. Anh mới đến đây. Nhưng mà anh không nói tiếng Việt. Mình không nói tiếng Việt như người mới đến. Mình nói tiếng Việt như người Việt Nam. Thực sự, tại vì vào tấm lòng của mình cũng phải là người Việt Nam. Mình thấy rằng nói tiếng Việt là hát bài tình yêu với nhau, phải không? Đúng rồi. Tại vì khi mình nói tiếng Anh, don't nobody know I know nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because I ain't supposed to be knowing no languages. I ain't supposed to be able to sing no songs with y'all. Nhưng mình rất là thích giao tiếp bằng tiếng Việt, nói chuyện bằng tiếng Việt, ăn đồ ăn Việt Nam và hát bài tiếng Việt luôn. Ok, bây giờ mình sẽ hát bài Việt Nam. Nhiều đêm thức trọn nhớ thương em, nhớ hoa làm sao biết ngỡ tình, tay chân anh nào mơ với mộng, nên tình hai đứa vẫn chưa yên. Thức trọn đêm nay để nhớ thương em, anh nghe tình yêu nhắc nhớ em đêm. You see, they recognize me. And really, I'm just being me. I don't have to think on nothing. It's just flowing. because I started day one true, even though it hurt. It didn't hurt emotionally because I'm not emotional. I did feel the disharmony, but you have to get out of the emotional state, because the state of good, bad, happy, sad, nice, mean, jerk, yuck, yum, you, wow, it's tremendous, awesome, stupendous, amazing, that shit don't exist. It's all imaginary emotional blockage. Nature is always acting on itself. The universe is always acting on itself. And there's only magnetism, which is free-flowing abundance, creating, magnifying itself over and over and over. Or there's static, which is blocking. That's it. And you want to be an open channel, So, and here's how we go in live conversation when you have a reflective mind.
Người miền Nam.
Với miền Nam, đúng rồi. And anh xem phim Việt Nam để lại cảm thấy dòng nước của văn hóa miền Nam. Vì vậy anh có thể nói tiếng Việt bằng giọng miền Nam rõ ràng.
That's right. That's nice.
Yeah. Em là người miền Trung phải không?
Dạ đúng rồi.
Dạ đúng
Em
rồi.
là người miền.
Là người miền Trung mà em là người miền Trung mà gần Huế hay gần Đà Nẵng vậy?
Em gần Huế.
Rồi em gần Huế. So,
Dạ.
em thích ăn bún bò phải không?
Đúng rồi.
Bún bò Huế. Yeah. Anh cũng thích bún bò Huế. Và anh thích
Anh ăn bún bò Huế bao giờ chưa?
đúng rồi. Yeah.
Anh ăn rồi hay là chưa?
Yeah. Anh đi nhà hàng Việt Nam để ăn bún bò Huế. Yeah.
Ở bên Mỹ có một số nhà hàng nấu bún bò Huế à?
Đúng rồi. Ở bên Mỹ. Ở bên Mỹ có nhà hàng mà có đồ ăn của ba miền Việt Nam.
Bắc Trung Nam.
Dạ, Bắc Trung Nam. Bắc Trung Nam không có gì đâu.
Now, those are examples of my expression of the science that I'm trying to get over. The thing is, no one can teach you this. It's something that's in you already that you got to draw out. It's sort of like learning how to breathe, or learning how to see, or learning how to hear. You learn how to see through looking. You learn how to hear. You learn how to hear through listening. Right. You learn how to breathe by just doing it. People want to speak a language. Speak. I want to speak. I want to speak. Speak. Shut up. Oh, that feels so good. That's what I hear when people say they want to speak. No, languages are not meant for speaking. Languages are self-reflective only. See, the culture uses a language to reflect itself to itself, as nature is always acting on itself as itself. Okay? This speaking thing, this reverse engineering the language in order to learn how to speak it to mimic the culture, is only done by those who have resolved an inability to connect to the culture magnetically, truthfully, soul to soul, heart to heart, vortex to vortex, creating that whirlpool that I showed you earlier. You see, with me getting the gist of what somebody's saying, I don't want the gist. I want the whole thing. So that means I have to do what is necessary to get that whole thing. It's really simple, okay? You have to stop raping time and let time do what time gonna do, okay? You receive and then you express. And then when you express, you have a deeper ability to receive. But you cannot project. You cannot project in the time. Once you project, you have cut off the natural growth process. Language is actually created by you. as it reflects your understanding of the culture. And the culture recognizes you based upon your ability to reflect understanding of it. So it's all harmonious. The culture recognizes all things that recognizes it, and it repels everything that doesn't. So only those who are anti-magnetic would ever cry about a language barrier. A language barrier exists to protect the integrity of the culture from static, from things that would destroy it. So there is no language barrier. If you are magnetic, there is no language barrier. There's no place that water can't go. There's no place that air can't go. There's no place that sunlight can't go. Those are magnetism recognizes all magnetism, man. So what I do, I sat and listened to Vietnamese music for 6 months straight. Because the people, although they would tolerate me, I don't like the energy of tolerance. I like the energy of free-flowing love and expression, which can't be faked. So I had to get my shit together and then slowly work my way into seeing where I was with the people on an honest level. As soon as the people stop being honest, you can't grow no more. I want them honest, even though it may hurt sometimes. It may hurt my feelings sometimes. But it is what it is, and I let it be that. So after 6 months of just straight listening, I put all the textbooks down and just started straight listening. Now, it's free flowing. Now, you say, well, what if the native speaker want to speak English to you? Let me show you how I handle that. And this with anybody.
My family.
See if I can find that part.
Talk about coffee.
Okay.
I really like.
Getting there.
Sẽ lâu tự sẵn lại. Rằng anh nói tiếng Việt, anh muốn mà em biết rằng anh nói tiếng Việt được. Em có hiểu không?
Hiểu.
Dạ, hiểu. Dạ. Yeah, anh sắp hỏi em một lần nữa em đi đâu vậy? Nhưng em nói hiểu. Ok.
You look so pretty. You are a humorous person.
Chia sẻ lâu tự sẵn là sự thật làm anh rất vui. Chia sẻ sự thật bằng tiếng Việt làm anh vui. Đây đó là nói tiếng Việt nhiều nhóm hát bài luôn. Phải không?
Bài gì?
Bài tình yêu cảm xúc tâm lòng nhỉ. So, nói tiếng Việt nhiều nhóm hát bài tình yêu cảm xúc tâm lòng. Phải không?
Không.
Anh hỏi em phải không?
Dạ phải.
Dạ phải. Yeah. Dạ phải. Dạ phải. Yeah. Dạ phải.
Anh Đét.
Yeah.
Bây giờ anh có thể nói chuyện tiếng Anh với em cùng với bạn em một lúc được không?
Okay. So she understands some English too, huh?
Yes.
All right. Now, how long you been studying English now?
I learned English about 2 years.
2 years ago, huh? So yeah, you like it? You like English?
Yes, I really like English.
Okay. So yeah.
It is very interesting and very useful for me.
Okay. Yeah. So you use English every day?
Can you repeat that?
Say, do you use English every day?
Yes. I learn English every day. I spend uh time. I spend time on our our every day.
Okay. So where do you study at?
I study as about some topics such as talk about hobby.
Okay.
Talk about some activity.
Okay. So do you practice talking to your friends in English?
Yes, yes. Sometimes I talk to my friends by English. I want to improve my English skills.
Hmm. Yeah. So you speak pretty good for 2 years, huh? So you understand.
Yes.
Yeah, you understand a good amount of it. Yeah. So you study at home or do you go to class?
I study English at college and at home.
Okay. You have people in your family that speak English?
No, in my family don't know about English. My family just only speak Vietnamese.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody in my family can speak English.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Đúng rồi, anh hiểu được tất cả những gì mà em nói, không vấn đề gì hết vậy.
Yeah. Okay. I'm very happy when I hear your say.
See, that's the key. You don't want to destroy nobody's confidence when you're trying to learn with them. Okay? I'm not trying to listen nothing from them. I ain't trying to steal nothing from them. I'm sharing all I am. I'm letting them share all they are with me while remaining an open channel for them. And then we both grow together. Grammar, vocabulary, usage, all that. None of that stuff that academia talks about even exists. Okay, it doesn't exist because in nature you don't need to know it in order to learn it. So these are just fragments of the whole. Just stay whole. Listen until you hear. Look until you see. Breathe until you feel. Harmonize all that together and you arrive at the whole. It's really simple. But I ain't got 6 months to just listen to the music. Look, when you're magnetic and you listen to the right magnetic stuff, then you will be able to move energy through you, because true language is energy exchange. You'll be able to move the energy to you through you in the same rhythm as the culture. As you get used to that rhythm, everything about it becomes you. I'm telling you what the end result would be, but you can't understand what I just said until you do it yourself. I'm just offering an opportunity that you see this concept. No one told me about it. I realized it in myself because academics never took with me. But I wanted to learn. So I had to teach myself how to learn, and I did so in a very non-academic, magnetic way. it arrived at many things. Not just this, but many things. Everything I do is magnetic now. And I really understand how my ancestors navigated this universe. When you already are it, you just recognize it through it being you. But when you're numb, you don't feel nothing. And to be numb in a magnetic universe is very dangerous. See? So I'm giving you an opportunity to come home to trusting your senses, testing your senses. The more you test truth, the stronger in truth you get. The less you test it, the weaker you get, the more numb you get. And the more numb you get, the less you're able to feel it, and your inability to feel it makes you more mistake prone. So think about that. Questions, I always answer them. But it takes a magnetic mind and disposition to ask magnetic questions. A lot of people ask static questions and want magnetic answers, or they want a static answer to a magnetic question. It don't work like that. The whole thing, no gaps. There's no gaps in the flow of water. Tons of gaps in a bunch of sand. So you can fill a cup full of water, and you can fill a cup full of sand. The water will have no gaps, but the sand is all gappy, and those gaps is what the universe flows through and destroys. So there's no gaps in water, no gaps in the magnetic resonance. It just, you have to respect time. You have to stop raping through time. I want to speak, I want to speak, I want to speak. You need to shut up and listen. You need to understand, and let that understanding show you how to speak. Let that understanding show you how to read and write. Let reading and writing be a reflection of what you understand, and then let what comes of that show you how to continue down the path of deepening your understanding. Understanding is the one thing that can't be bought, sold, traded, or stolen. It's only self-cultivated, and you've wasted a lot of time not doing so. So go silent. Only speak to what you understand. Only speak with precision to what you understand, because when it comes back to you, you want it to deepen your understanding. Deceivers want to dodge and duck from what they say. But the truth wants everything they say to come back to them, to deepen them. And as that deepens, everything gets easier for you. There's only ease or dis-ease. So truthfulness is about ease. Righteousness is about ease. So take it easy. Learning is easy. It's simple. But it's on you alone. Can you listen until you hear? Can you look until you see? When those things come up in your life that tell you to act, so you go get a better look and a deeper listen, or do you have the courage to act on these things? This is where you're being tested at. So it takes a lot of courage to go against things you fear, because fear and belief are the same. They're the same. They're static and anti-magnetic, because you can only believe in that which you are blind to the creation of, and you can only fear that which you have refused to go see. And go and see, like in my case, well, in the case of everything, is like the more magnetic your mind becomes, the less physical you need to be. I ain't never been to Vietnam. I ain't never been to Mexico. But puedo hablar español como si fuese un mexicano o cualquier hispanohablante. Yo soy hispanohablante. I can do that. I ain't never been to Vietnam. I don't live around Vietnamese people. I don't work with them. But mình có thể nói tiếng Việt cho trai được. Mình cũng thấy rằng tiếng Việt là ngôn ngữ, cảm thấy như ngôn ngữ đầu tiên của mình. You know, I can get my flow on, because the things that I do are mental, and everything that I do physically is just a simple reflection of that. And I'm doing all of what I'm doing, whether it's recognized or not. I'm still doing all of it, not the gist of it. So don't reduce what you perceive with your physical senses. Don't reduce it to what you're able to perceive. Understand that there's always more. Okay? It's time to get out of the silliness. Time to get out of the noise. Time to get back into the silence and get back into the seriousness of truthfulness, righteousness. And with that, I open the floor for your questions, comments, testimony. Because I do know that when you actually start to do this right, you're going to start sharing. You see, static-minded people hoard information because they stole it anyway. But when you're self-directed and you're self-cultivating and you're starting to see the things on these roads things that I can describe and things that I can't, you're going to share them. Because when you share them, that's a form of expression which opens the door for you to receive more of what you are cultivating yourself. You can only share from what you're cultivating yourself. Atoms share electrons, but the core ain't never traded. And those electrons are generated by how deeply the core knows itself. The more it knows itself, the more electrons it has to share, and the more it shares those electrons, the deeper its core gets. So on, so forth. Let's get back to alchemy out of chemistry. Until next time.